All right, and welcome back to another episode of Starlight Beacon. Another episode review of the Bad Batch. Mike is hot. We're live. This is going to be a shorter episode today. I am on vacation, and the playoffs are on, so it's not really much to talk about with this episode anyway. First things first, as I always want to do with the audience, let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rank this episode? Personally, for me, it's a 5, and I'll explain why later in the episode, but I definitely want to hear from you guys. And if you're watching this on the replay, after this is live, I still want to know what you rank this episode in the comments. So definitely looking forward to what you all have to say about this episode. Personally, it was a filler episode. It wasn't a bad episode. I enjoyed the content. It was still fun. It's still an engaging show, but the episode for me, this is about the third episode that we've gotten that's kind of sort of like a side mission, if you will. So yeah, it's about a 5.5 maybe. The cool thing, of course, we get the stuff with Moochie. And yes, for everyone who, if you may or may not know, if you're wondering who Moochie is, the Rancor, that is the Rancor that we see Luke Skywalker fight in Return of the Jedi. She will grow up, and become a very fearsome combatant in the arena for Jabba. So all that stuff is cool. I'm, late getting to this review. I like to do these reviews on Friday, the day of. So there's not a lot that I can say that hasn't been said. But, for me, like I said, it's enjoyable, but I'm definitely ready for this show to sort of kick into the next gear. So, we've given a lot of 7s and 8s, and I've got to start reserving my higher scores for some higher impact content, which I believe is coming, but it's just it's a slow grind to get there. Let's see, we got Ducky Momo in the chat, got my mom is in the chat, Abby is in the chat, Abby's in the cat, haha, I'm mixing all my words up today. Ducky gives it a 7. My mom says 6.7. 6. I see the series as a cartoon that will be several seasons and 100 plus episodes. 100 plus episodes. Ooh, I don't know if that would be interesting if they went 100 plus episodes. Well, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. But yeah, there's going to be a filler, and I know that there's going to be a filler, but I think this one, I would like a little bit more story and more plot, between the filler episodes. I feel like we've just kind of sort of been in this mode for about 3 episodes now, and I'm ready to just get to the next part of the story. Like, we still got a lot to know, about Crosshair, about the Bad Batch, about Omega, about the Empire as a whole in this transition, the rest of the galaxy, Saw Gerrera and the Partisans, Rex, we know he's coming. So there's a lot of, stuff in the show that we're anticipating that we want to see more of. And I'm fully, expecting with a 16 episode season that we're going to have quite a few filler episodes. But even still, like, with a filler episode, you can make a very entertaining filler episode. And I just felt like of the episodes that we've gotten that were filler, this was probably my least favorite. Because kind of sort of, if you take out the Moochie thing, like, that is kind of sort of the plot, that is the whole episode, and you take Moochie out the equation, it's not really much there. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna kick back into full gear, and we'll start getting some more of that content that we got in the first 2 episodes, because the first 2 episodes of the show were like phenomenal. So I'm ready to get back more into that stuff. And I like the stuff last episode with Fennec Shine. That was a good see for me, like the Fennec thing in that introduction and what that sets up some more things that we can see uh come to fruition later in the season or later in the series. I'm pretty sure we'll see Fennec again. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that we'll see Moochie again, but how important is Moochie to the story? You know what I'm saying? Um, Whereas I can see Fennec and the other characters that are more side characters or the characters that appear in the filler episodes, I can see them being integral to the story. So, that's just kind of sort of where I'm at with it. We did see Omega pick up the bow, so do we know how she got that now? And that's pretty much my synopsis of the episode as a whole. Now, to speculate a little bit, I'm pretty sure next week it'll be episode 6. I'm pretty by episode 6 we should have an episode, a Rex episode, like one of the main, well, not the main characters, but a side character should have make an appearance, like Rex. I'm starting to feel like the Rex stuff is going to start to come into fruition. Another thing, there was a poll that Santa put into the Discord for what our predictions were for this episode, and one of the things was the headaches, Wrecker's headaches, would they intensify. Now, I know he's going to address this later this week, but I feel like that point for Wrecker's headaches intensifying, I still don't know if we got to see them intensify. I know he had headaches. He had a headache in this episode, but is it really more intense than the previous one? It's really hard to say whether or not that's true. But it's definitely going to be an issue, and it's definitely something that's going to be addressed. It's going to be key to the story because it absolutely has something to do with the inhibitor chip. And I'm interested to see how that's going to affect the other members of the team. Are they going to be able to address the inhibitor chip issue before Wrecker starts to wreck stuff? We'll have to see. Ducky says, I'm just glad the ship didn't break down. Yeah, I know. I hear you on that one. That would have been rough to get a back-to-back ship repair episode. He's complaining when just standing around now. So yeah, I don't know. I guess so. I don't know about that. I don't know. I can't buy that yet. I can't buy that. There is a way. I see, for me, if I'm going to buy into it intensifying, right, like it should have affected him on the mission. Like it should have been so severe that during the fight with Moochie, for instance, like he just, collapses, or, he just can't bear the pain. Something like that would indicate to me that no, this has hit another level. Yeah. My mom says this shows Omega's instincts are keen. Yes, yeah, definitely. We're definitely seeing a lot more of her impact in the intensity of her senses, and just how attuned she is with just aware of things. Like it's like she has this heightened sense of awareness. Like she was able to identify the contact. I forgot the lady's name, the Trandoshan. But yeah, I mean, all of that stuff is important. Like there are definitely some important character moments, like Omega showing her awareness, Wrecker's headaches still being an issue, but the teams, we know that the team they got to find credits. They need contacts. They need friends. They need, they need to build an alliance, which does set up, them, becoming members of the Partisans, because they won't be the Rebel Alliance at this point. It's way too early. But Saw Gerrera has already formed his Partisans And I think the next time we see Saul, he will invite them into his family and into the partisans, which is, I think, it would be cool. Like, I honestly think that that's a good route for them to take if they're involved with the partisans, and then we get to see a lot more of Saw Gerrera. We get to see a lot more of the partisans. We get to see how much of an extremist possibly Saw is, depending on how far down that rabbit hole they want to go. But I can see, if not in this season, next season or later in the series, Saw Gerrera becoming more of an important character within the series, and especially for the Bad Batch. Also, starting the A-Team style weekly mercenary mission. Yeah, for sure. So that'll be interesting, right? Like how long they're going to be freelance soldiers for hire mercenaries. My prediction right now is that it's not going to be that much longer, because I still feel like Saw Gerrera is the key. And he's going to be very important to their future, and what they do and how involved they are in the affairs of the Alliance and the galaxy as a whole. Crosshair and his team of proto death troopers are going to be hounding the Bad Batch, and I think that they're going to need Saw Gerrera and his partisans. And then once that alliance is formed, then you'll see more heavy hitters come in from the Empire, because we know early on in the rebellion, or at least in the formation of the Empire, Saw Gerrera and the partisans were very integral in that. We could see possibly Ahsoka appearing in this show too, because she starts going by the name of Fulcrum. We know that she gets kind of sort of involved in the rebellion early on, before we even see her in Rebels. Like, she's already doing stuff with the Alliance on different cells. That would be kind of interesting too. Look, we're full in on the speculation right now, but now I'm thinking about the Fallen Order video game, right? With Cal Kestis. Cal meets Saw Gerrera sometime, what is this, 5 years from now, technically, because Cal's story picks up 5 years after Order 66. So within that time period, the Bad Batch may or may not still be around. They could, I wouldn't put it past Dave Filoni or someone to softly retcon that, but seeing Ahsoka in this series is not beyond Dave to do. So we could see a time jump. Saw Gerrera makes a comment to Cal when we meet Saw Gerrera in the game, spoilers, that all the Jedi are dead. Now, you could easily write that off as Saw Gerrera just saying that because that's just his personality. But it kind of leaves wiggle room for Ahsoka to have interacted with Saw at some point in between that period. It also opens up the possibility, because Ahsoka's not technically a Jedi, so Dave could, on a technicality, introduce Ahsoka in this series in some capacity, and she won't be, because she doesn't refer to herself as a Jedi, so by default, even if she does meet Saul in this time period during this series, she could easily say, I'm not a Jedi, I'm just like a lightsaber for hire, or what have you, or however she rolls at this point in time. Lady Tano, I think that's what they referred to her as, so I would be down to see more of that. Coop Daddy Yoda says animation surpasses Anne? Oh, okay. Typo. We'll get that one later. He also says, sending greetings to all. But yeah, man, like, this show, like, don't get me wrong, the 5 is not a bad thing. I'm still very interested in this show. It's just not, I can't see this by the end of the season being one of my favorite episodes. It's just not going to be that way. I think overall the show still hasn't lost its intrigue for those of us who are still watching. I think that's pretty much been the general consensus. A lot of people are kind of sort of, they're not too high, but no one's too low. Like the show's just kept us engaged, just kept everyone engaged. Um, so that's a credit to the writing and the storytelling, because I think a lot of people have faith in Dave Filoni and the team in their ability to deliver good storytelling. So I think that's just kind of sort of where it is. I'm gonna go about 15 more minutes, everybody. So if you got some questions or some theories or anything in the comments, just throw them out there. I'm gonna continue to ramble on for 15 minutes, but that's gonna be my commitment. I'm gonna do 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna roll, because like I said, it's the holidays and I'm on vacation and I'm enjoying time with the family, and the playoffs are on, man. So let's see what else happened in the episode that was kind of interesting. So the Zygerians, though, that is a kind of an interesting thing, right? Because that can come into play later. But the Zygerians are, renowned throughout the galaxy as slavers, and they have been for, I don't know, since what, the Old Republic? So thousands of years. During the Clone Wars, we found out that the Jedi Order is who shut down the Zygerian Empire. They are the ones who ended their empire and their, slave empire throughout the entire, well, at least through the core worlds in the mid-rim. So I'm curious to see what happens with the Zygerians during this time period. They did mention something about, prosperity returning to the empire now that the Republic is gone and the Jedi are all defeated. So that's something that I think that we can see come back into play later. Not just in this series, but just in Star Wars as a whole. Like, I think, growing the factions and adding more players into this galaxy just enhances the ability to tell stories. What's your thoughts on the white prototype Boba helmet in the merch lady office? So Dave totally put that in there for a reason. And for those who don't know what Ducky is talking about, the early concept art that Ralph McQuarrie did for Boba Fett, he was donning this white armor. It's the same armor that we see in the movie, but it's all white. And we see that helmet in the store, in the shop, like hanging on the wall, like just the helmet. So I think it's possible that, I read a theory that Omega is going to don that armor. And that's not a bad theory, like, especially if she hooks up with like Boba at some point in time. Because technically, I guess you could say that they're templates of a Mandalorian, so they're all, by some extent, the clones that is even the Bad Batch and Omega, by some extent they are Mandalorian, not by creed, but just by lineage. So I don't know. I don't think the Mandalorians are too keen on cloning, but that's, Boba's a clone and he did his thing. I can see Omega taking up that mantle and that title at some point. Who knows? I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it. I would definitely like to see that all white Boba Fett Mandalorian armor donned by someone. So yeah, I'm definitely on board for that, to see that again. Let's see what else. What else is going on during this time period? Did see. Side note. Nah, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into that. It says animation is good quality, surprisingly attractive to every age, and has a good story. Yeah, absolutely. That has been. I think that is the general consensus for everyone who was watching the show. Like, when you take the art form of animation serious, you can tell really compelling stories. Like we've seen examples of animation that are a little bit more mature, that are not just geared for children. Um, and I think that the tone of the show, not only this show but Clone Wars and Rebels, evolves over time. Now I think that this show, The Bad Batch, has started off in more of a 13 to 14-year-old, that PG-13 age group and up, and so by default that makes it a lot more appealing to a wide range of audience. So yeah, I think that's a smart move, and I think that they should continue to play within that age group, because that's you can just hit everyone with that ranking. Do you think the bow will be used every week for Omega, or is it a throwaway scene? Nah, I think she'll see. I mean, we saw her use it in the previews, like in one of the trailers. So she's going to use it. Now, how often she uses it? Probably not that often. Not at least in this show or season, at least. Maybe in later seasons, we'll see her use it more. They could do a time jump. We saw a time jump with Clone Wars, minor, like a couple months probably. The biggest one was with the Rebels with Ezra. I feel like they had like a year or something, but it's quite a vast time jump. So I could see them doing a time jump in this series, and as she gets older, she's more combative. Engage more in combat. But right now, I just don't see her character as a combatant. Like, can she? Yes. But is that her style? Not right now. Right now, she seems to be more of like a, she's like support. Like, she's got that awareness. She's like almost like sit rep. Like, she's got that level of awareness, that heightened sense, that allows her to perceive what's going on at a higher rate than the rest of them. And I think that she'll stay in that role for a while until until some things change within the team and within as the Empire intensifies their efforts to find them. I think we'll see more opportunities for all of the team members to become more combative. Normies the Nerds, my man, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. I'm going to go about 6 more minutes here. So if you've got any questions about episode 5, or any comments or any speculations, anything that you want to post, go ahead, drop those in the comments now. I'll be here for 6 more minutes. How old is Omega? So that's a great question. I would say, I think we've speculated somewhere between 8 and 10, probably. The Clone Wars lasted 3 years. We don't know if she was age accelerated or not, just like the rest of the clones. If she wasn't age accelerated, then she's probably about, well, she would have to be born prior to the Clone Wars. We don't know how long before the Clone Wars started that she was born, but let's say 4 to 5 years before the Clone Wars, that would put her about 8 to 9, depending. And if she's age accelerated, then she could have been born 2 to 3 years before the Clone Wars started, and that would still put her in that 8 to 10 age range. But right now, I don't think she's going to be age accelerated. It doesn't seem like she is. It seems like they did what they did with Boba, kept her unaltered, and just enhanced. Well, they didn't age accelerate her. She's clearly enhanced, but she's not age accelerated. At least that's the theory, until they confirm or deny. Think the bow is a perfect weapon for Omega? You know what? This thing is like a comment section. It's not actually okay. There we go. I think the bow is a perfect weapon. Is that? I'm assuming that's a question. I think it is a good weapon for her. It's a unique weapon. You know, we traditionally we've seen it used by the Night Sisters. I like the weapon, so I'm happy that we'll see more of it. And we know that Omega, you know, whatever weapon she seems to pick up or acquire, she has a high level of proficiency with. So, you know, she definitely won't be a slouch with it. So I'm thinking we'll see some good action with that bow, and I think that's a good weapon for her character. It's as unique as she is, probably. Good question. Couple more minutes. What is the Rancor's importance to Jabba? That is the Rancor that we see in Return of the Jedi. Am I frozen? I think I'm frozen. I can hear me though. Am I frozen? Is my screen like moving? Might be getting a phone call. I don't know. Anyway, let me know. Can y'all hear me? If you can hear me in the chat, put a 1 in the chat. You're talking, but you're not moving. Okay. I don't know why. Give me 1 second. Not sure why that happened. Huh. Nope, still frozen. Still frozen. Anyways, okay. Well, I don't know. I can't fix that right now. So I'll continue to answer the questions because I can still read those. Actually, let me try something real quick. Okay, there we go. Boom. Don't know why that happened. I did. Okay. Yeah. All right. That worked. Okay. Back to it. Omega gets her weapon. We meet a Rancor from Jabba's prototype helmet. Appearance. Meet the lady who give them all their missions. The ship didn't break down. Yeah. I would say. I mean, a passing. Okay. You're on like a, well, I mean, technically I'm not going to disagree with you, but my rank is still a 5. Alrighty. Can't hear you. Alrighty. Any more questions? I'll do 2 more minutes. I'll add 2 more minutes to it since we had technical issues with the camera. Yeah. Ducky, you raise a great point. I'm not gonna, your logic is undeniable. However, I'm not changing my score. Not gonna change it. To me, I know you're like doing the 10-point scale. I'm choosing to use the full like 1 to 10. So for me, anything below a 5 is like, 5 is where is my C. So once you start getting below a 5 is when we go into that below average range. And then, you know, that 1 to 2 is like definitely failing. 3 to 4 is below average. 5, 6 is average. Above average, 7 to 8, and then excellent, 8 to 9. 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and then a perfect 10. There we go. Did it. See, I did that on the fly. That's my logic. Now you understand my scale. That's how I'm doing things. But I totally understand the the C. So technically, we're putting it in that CMC category as an average grade for the episode. However, regardless, I'm still looking forward to next week. I'll be doing the joining the Den Nerds and their watch party as usual, unless I fall asleep again. Hanging out with everybody in the den, and then I'll do my live review on next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then next Saturday, of course, we got another episode of the Cookout. We'll continue our rankings of the superhero movies. If you missed that, we streamed that today. We finished the Sony movies for Marvel. And then we got the rest of the Marvel movies that were not the MCU or Fox. So it was Sony and the rest of the movies minus Fox and the MCU. We've already ranked those movies, but if you're interested and you'll see how we broke that down, we kind of explained it in this episode that we had today at 2 p.m. That's live on the channel now, so if you missed that, go back and catch that. Check that out. And next Saturday we'll be continuing with I think we're going to rank the MCU movies against the Fox and the Sony and the rest of the movies. So we're putting it all together and trying to figure out what's the best of the best and what's the worst of the worst within Marvel. Then we'll move on to DC, and then we'll move on to the other comic book movies. But that's all I got for today. Make sure you follow us on social at Certified Gumbo. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Also, you got to, if you want to support the channel, if you see that thing up here, support us on coffee.com. If you go to the link, which is in the description channel, you can donate to the channel. $3. Buy us a cup of coffee. We'll love you for it. And if you don't, we understand. The support, the watching, the viewers, the likes, the subscriptions, all helps the channel. We understand if you can't or don't want to financially do it, all that stuff, leaving a like, watching the episodes and subscribing, all that helps, and sharing it as well. So we appreciate you for watching and supporting us in however many ways you do that. And until next week, as I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.